AirWreckRadio. A shining example of what it means to be neuroatypical.
Well, here they come again. They heard that things were happening. With mics in front of faces, their lips begin a flapping. They talk about world and local news reports, and even Steph Michaels, cause she's a doggy whore. Corey says, man, it's a goddamn joke. Corruption is abundant and the POTUS is a hoax. Stacy says,
man, I'd like to act, but Americans are lazier than most, that's fact.
So go get a bowl, a spoon, and some cereal, and sit your ass down. It's time for AirWreckRadio.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking, and thank you for choosing AirWreckRadio. We'd like to apologize in advance if there's any inconvenience caused, but we're going down.
It is the 7th day of April in the year 2014. I'm Corey.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is episode 48?
40... What is 48?
48 of AirWreckRadio.
We should research that number before we start the show.
No, I thought it was a cute little gag that we
With
did,
all
but
the
okay.
other prep we do, we should probably, it wouldn't be hard to figure out.
Honestly, I generally, it's only happened once that I actually didn't know the number. It's usually just a little game I play.
I got confused this time because I've been writing, doing notes and stuff and organizing them in folders that include the number of the episode.
Mm-hmm. And you had it wrong?
No, it's that I've already written it. So I think this must be 49 because I've already written 48.
Ah, okay.
You see, but that's
not true at all.
That's neuroatypical.
Yeah, yes, you are, sir.
Yes
you are. We have just an action-packed, fun-filled show of debauchery scheduled for you today as we read the news.
Really selling it there.
Yeah. Couldn't you hear the enthusiasm in my voice?
No.
That's why I was really trying to drive it home with some extra loving.
Gotta put that hammer down when you're driving that car.
Yeah, buddy. I don't want to.
All right, whatever.
It's
fine. I'm done.
We've done 48 episodes, and I don't know why the hell we've gone this far.
We've actually done only 47 episodes and
That's
started
true.
a 48th.
That's true. Well, I guess technically, if we published just this, it would be a podcast.
I mean,
if there's
yes,
shorter
but
podcasts.
I wouldn't call it an episode. Maybe the way somebody with epilepsy refers to something as an episode. Maybe I would call this that.
So here we are again doing this, that, our wonderful podcasting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why we do this.
Oh, we're starting already. Yay.
With
Good.
the
I love punching out this early. It's great. We're just going to phone it in from here, folks, so whatever.
Phone it in from here? What have we been doing for the last 9 months?
Homework, bitch. I've been doing homework.
11 months. 11 months. It's we in preparation for the upcoming new season. We've been putting in a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing hours.
Yeah.
Well, I've been putting in a lot of time thinking and working on some new shit.
Corey, pulling it and thinking about me is not working on the podcast.
Yes, it is. That's how the podcast got started.
Okay, but I mean, it's really that's not really generating content except for your spank bank.
Which is content enough for me, sir.
All right. Well, perhaps we could provide our listeners with some content.
No, they're on their own. They should create their own content.
Folks, good news. I'm here to create content for you since Corey is completely unwilling to create. It's like pushing a rope over here.
All right, I'll knock it off. So what do we have? What have you been up to this week?
I read a book, and I'd like to tell you about it.
Really? You read a book?
I did. Another
Good for
one.
you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, clap for me, bitch. I'm fucking learning stuff.
Very proud of you, sir.
I called you bitch twice this episode. I'm
Yes,
starting to feel
so
bad
far.
about it. I didn't mean it like in a derogatory way either time.
All due respect.
Yeah, all due respect, bitch.
Yeah. I'm keeping account, motherfucker. I'm keeping account.
So I read a book.
The name written in your underwear? And it wasn't yours. And this is
Probably
a
that,
much
too.
better story.
Age of Radiance, the dramatic rise and fall of...
My erection.
Man, I'm bombing all over the title of this. I read The Age of Radiance, the dramatic rise and fall of the atomic era. It's a history of atomic stuff.
My erection. Sorry, go on.
Okay. It starts out like with the guy who discovered X-rays. You like how I'm using very specific information? Like
It's great.
The guy
the
who
guy
created
who
X-rays.
created X-rays.
He actually, spoilers, he didn't create them,
Oh, really? I had known.
and he had a name, and they called them something else then. He called them X-rays, but they called them him rays. They called him with his last name, which was far less memorable.
Him rays?
No, his last name.
I get it. But him rays? Really?
Unless this whole book is fake and he was actually Professor X, which I guess could be.
It's that Doctor Who character. He's just going to die and come back as another person.
Don't tell me about Doctor Who. I'm watching that shit.
I don't know anything about it.
Good.
at
Don't
all.
ruin it for me with your ignorance then.
I know he dies, comes back as another person.
No, he
whatever.
doesn't. What, does the actor quit?
Every time the show stops and they make a new spin-off of the show, a new iteration of the show,
All right, stop. You're ruining it for
that's
me.
how they make. That's how they write the character. Is that the other one died and he came back.
Anyway, back to real science.
He's a time lord.
The history moves on to talk about Marie Curie and her husband Pierre, who it tells a really nice love story about them. I had no idea that like scientists had emotions and stuff.
Feelings?
Yeah.
What are those?
I don't really understand it myself, but the book kind of helped a little. And then it gets into World War II, and boy, oh man,
Oh, all right. So we've moved into the practical application part of our segment.
into the weaponizing of atomic energy.
Yeah, practical application.
And then it gets into the power stuff and talks about Fukushima. And honestly, folks, I recommend you read this book. This is an easy read. It goes pretty quick. Maybe it's not exactly an easy read, but it goes pretty quick. That's the atomic something or other whose name I can't remember.
Oh,
Google
good
it.
job.
Read it.
Oh, I'm such a ringing endorsement.
You're
I'm
gonna love
glad
it.
that I have a chance to really look that up and check that out. I've been doing too much work training to do any reading.
Work training.
Work training
Wow.
on the compooper.
Is it all about how to clear out spider webs from Mazdas?
No, it is not about. I'm sure the service guys have one of those.
Folks, if you have a Mazda, you got to get some spider webs cleaned out of that shit. There's Japanese barking spiders in your gas tank. It's the weirdest thing, man. It smells like squid.
I'm not getting into this. I'm trying to get people to buy Mazdas, not
Buy
them.
Mazdas. No, I'm telling you, buy them. You get a free gas tank.
Replacements.
Whatever.
Yeah, apparently spider webs can break your gas tank open.
Spider webs.
It's a pretty amazing spider. Like, when I was reading the recall, I was like, you're missing the important part of the story. Not that we have to recall these cars. That's silliness. But the fact that the spider spins a web that somehow breaks steel brackets and hard plastic gas tanks.
I'm inclined to think that it's probably because of moisture that sticks to the spider web, causing the steel bracket to rust. But that is just my layman guess. Got no idea.
Doesn't matter. What the hell's going on here? I want more answers, and they didn't give it to me.
Whatever. Folks, got a Mazda? Bring it back to your Mazda dealership. Friendly
Just-
Mazda dealership. Gonna fix that shit right up for you.
Gonna be like, there's any spiders in this? The technician's gonna go, boo!
Yeah.
If no spiders come out, you're good. You're so good.
What a rip-roaring endorsement for Mazda this has been. Hey, you know what I learned in that book?
What?
Do you recall 3 Mile Island? Do you know anything about that?
The American nuclear disaster that was basically averted through quick action.
The action was not as quick as it could have been.
But way quicker than Chernobyl, which is the only thing we have to compare it against.
That is true. They had a better containment bubble, they call it, and that our fancy real concrete, not Soviet concrete, containment bubble saved a lot of people.
I was just going to make that point that me and you both know this story from American history.
I know it from an impartial history now too. Like I have a more. It's not. I guess it's still partial, but it's less impartial.
But I feel like there's a fair amount of propaganda. Stupid Chernobyl, the stupid Russians couldn't handle nuclear energy. When something went wrong in America, we just shut it down. You know why? Because we're fucking Americans.
I didn't know you had read the book too, Corey. It's good to see you reading. No, so what happened was like one minor thing went wrong. Somebody started some chain of events that led to 600 minor things going wrong, and
cooling rods failing is the final thing that goes wrong.
But the reason it got as bad as it got is because in the control room there were so many alarms going off because everything was doubled up. So like each tiny thing set off 2 alarms for the same thing. And there were 600 alarms going off. So 300 little things had to go wrong for this to happen. And it basically, I thought it was ironic that 3 Mile Island, TMI, 3 Mile Island. What caused the disaster there? Too much information.
I think, there is such a thing called alarm fatigue.
None of the employees could handle, like, they couldn't figure out what the simple cause was because so many alarms were going off.
You couldn't think.
And one of them, the thing that would have stopped it was just, hey, this control valve's stuck. Oh, well, we better fix that.
Yeah, shut down that core. Well, nurses get alarm fatigue where they don't hear them anymore because they hear so many of them.
Yeah, McDonald's fry cooks get that too.
You just don't hear bells and whistles.
Don't you fucking hate when you go to a McDonald's and you hear that goddamn all those alarms going off in the back? You're like, how can people work in this environment? Like,
and they're just standing there talking next to it.
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. Why did we both do the truck backing up beep?
Because that's the sound you hear in McDonald's or in a gas station. You know, you walk in and somebody's at the pump trying to fucking
ding,
get gas and then pay
ding,
like it's not the 21st century.
Ding. Yeah, remember when you were a kid, you used to be able to pump your gas before you paid?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Man, the past.
Well, that gas prices quadrupled.
Yeah.
And the
People
rate of
driving off.
driving goes or our pumping goes were extensive.
Yep.
What?
I remember that. No.
No. No, nothing. You suck.
I got nothing to go with that. I'm sorry. It's just, that sucks. I do recall.
Back to why Americans are awesome and Russians suck.
Because when we tell you it's 50 tons of concrete, that means 50 tons of concrete.
It probably means 57 because we overordered and it's union. It's too hard to return. You know what I mean?
What it doesn't mean is 50 tons of concrete that include a 45-ton rock.
Yeah. 45 ton.
I made that number up.
Really?
Yeah, don't think that's a real thing.
That's a big number.
Yeah. Listen, watch this. You think that was cool? 163 million tons.
Wow.
I made that one up too.
That's 163 million Mazda MX-5 Miatas.
Yep, that's how many there are. No, I thought it was the 6. The recall.
The 6. It is on the 6. This is great podcasting. The Mazda MX-5 Miata weighs exactly 1 ton.
Corey, this is not great podcasting.
It's terrible podcasting.
I think you're incorrect. I hate to disagree with you, but that's just definitely not great podcasting.
You know what else is great podcasting? Smashing the back of your microphone connection.
Yeah, sorry about that. Whatever. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I know it sounds like we're professionals here, but we're not. Would you like to provide some content for this break, please?
I'm telling you, I'm not doing it. I had set myself up with a little segue there, but it kind of got like stepped on a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting you to do anything.
Why was that? Because of the impression I gave you when we started the show?
Yes.
Oh, well, stop taking.
And then
things
when we
off the first
continued
impression.
to do the show, and the same thing kept happening.
I was contributing to your nuclear story.
It's nuclear, dummy. That's not true. You had it right. It's nuclear. I'm spreading misinformation now.
Washington, April 7th.
Ooh.
The White House on Monday warned Russian President Vladimir Putin against moving overtly or covertly into eastern Ukraine, as said there was strong evidence that pro-Russian demonstrators in the region were being paid. The Ukrainian government in Kiev said that overnight seizures of public buildings in 3 cities in the eastern Ukraine's mainly Russian-speaking industrial heartland or a replay of events in Crimea, the Black Sea Peninsula, Moscow seized and annexed last month.
So, I want to make sure that I understand what's going on here.
Okay.
It sounds to me like some of the pro-Russian protesters are Russian plants.
Yes, there's strong evidence. Now, mind you, this might be American propaganda. You heard the first word I read, right?
We would never use propaganda.
Washington, April 7th. It's the first thing I said. That should have read possible propaganda, April 7th.
No, well, it's not hard to believe that Russia would use plants to, like, the U.S. does that all the time. We do it against our own people.
If Russia moves into eastern Ukraine, either covertly or overtly, this would be very serious escalation. We call on President Putin and his government to cease all efforts to destabilize Ukraine, and we caution against further military intervention. Still not any of our business.
Yeah, no.
Still not any. I mean, it's just.
No. This is a Russian problem. I mean, this is a problem for Eastern Europe.
This sounds like a Ukrainian problem, but
yeah.
Not a problem.
Oh, there's quite a bit of Ukraine that is completely irradiated. Just
completely.
Little fun fact I picked up in a book I read recently. It was called whatever. But I'm saying, like, that's how little we know about Ukraine as Americans. This is not our problem. This is not a problem. This is what goes on in Russia.
To me, this is the Soviet Union trying to pick itself up like parts of the blob and reconnect itself.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Whatever.
Then it'll be our problem. Then it'll be our problem.
Well, but why does it even have to be a problem?
Well, they kind of make it our problem.
Oh, we kind of make it our problem, too. I mean, that goes both ways.
Hold on. We make every other problem our problem.
Right.
The
So
Soviet Union is big
yeah.
enough to be a problem.
Did you hear that?
That's why we make problems. We haven't had one since the fall of the Soviet Union.
Oh, is that, well, America hasn't had a problem. Is that what you just said? was
That's
that
why we
some kind of sarcasm?
That's why we start wars and police movements in every other country of the planet.
For example, in Cuba recently, Cuba's had
Cuba?
like they have an internet restriction going on.
Welcome to Cuba. Go on, I'm just playing.
I know.
Yeah.
I just want to finish the sentence and hopefully not forget the name of a fucking important Cuban island of Cuba. There's only one.
Cuba.
Yeah. So Cuba has internet restrictions similar to China, and the U.S. set up European shill corporations to sponsor a Twitter app inside of another app used in Cuba to try to subvert like this. It was
trying to reach people on the deep web, baby.
Well, not even deep web, really. I think this was a pretty mainstream thing.
It's trying to bring the surface web to other people. I guess.
I don't have the story in front of me, but basically it's just like what Russia is being accused of doing in Ukraine, sending shill people. Only the difference is we're not actually sending people. We're just like Twittering in Cuban about it.
Yeah, and showing people what they're missing, not necessarily starting wars.
Well, not necessarily not starting wars
That's also
either.
very true. Twitter might start a revolution.
Let's try to keep in mind that our hand was definitely on the spoon in Ukraine.
Twitter might start a revolution. We proved that because it might start it here.
Yeah, and it also did, Facebook more than Twitter, but did do it in Egypt. So it's definitely a real fucking thing, and we definitely created, like, our government definitely did this. And then, do you know what they tried to do when they got caught doing it, Corey?
What did they try to do, Stace?
That wasn't us.
Well, it wasn't us?
Wasn't us.
Well, clearly it wasn't us.
And then evidence showed up and said that was us. And they were like, all right, well, here's the thing.
It might have been us.
All right, it was us, but we did talk to Congress about it. And then Congress was like, yeah, we didn't know anything about that. And then the government, or the executive office was like, all right, well
we did talk to... We left him a message.
We brought it up in conversation that we thought we might bring it up in Congress. And we just hadn't gotten there before we had implemented this Cuban Twitter thing.
We left him a voicemail.
Yeah, and they never called the Congress, didn't call us back. So we assumed that meant yes.
Go ahead, yeah.
Who does? Listen, whenever I call my wife and I'm like, baby, I'm thinking about screwing around on you, and if she doesn't call me right back, that's a yes.
That's cool.
Right.
Maybe I think I'm going to go to the bar and drink all night and spend up all the mortgage.
Even if I called the wrong number. At least I called. It's kind of like that.
I wonder if Google's going to encrypt Cuban searches like they do in China.
I don't know anything about that.
I did a story on it a couple weeks ago. There's so much so much attention you showed to my shit.
Wow, good word usage there.
Yeah, well, I found it eventually. Go fuck yourself. I did a story a couple weeks ago that Google encrypts the Chinese searches so that they can search on Google freely without the government's web filtering.
Oh.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do
you know what? I think
Cuba too.
that rings a little bell. I got to tell you, Corey, I hear a lot of news stories in the course of several weeks, and I don't hold on to them all. But I don't remember some of my stories. Like, remember that one that I did about
Yeah, me too.
I don't remember that one either.
Good job. It's cute.
Yeah.
Did you think about that one all day?
The Atomic Era.
What about it? I thought we were off that.
That might be what that book's called.
Oh, The Atomic Era.
I don't think that's what that... Age of Radiance.
Age of Radiance. Something about
That's
something.
What that book was called.
But it is a nice tie around because if Russia does... Let's say Russia takes over the Ukraine, all right? And a very clear kind of world invasion. We've seen this before. We'll just take a little chunk here, we'll take a little chunk there, then we'll take all of it.
If Russia takes back a state that was actually theirs, like 20 years ago.
Yes.
30 years ago.
Oh, and then they take another, and then they take another, and then they take another.
Also theirs from 30 years ago.
I'm
just saying, like, they did kind of lose their periphery. It's a unique case. I'm not saying it makes it okay. I'm just saying it makes it not my problem.
And Russia once again becomes the Soviet Union.
Great.
What does that do to the playing field, the world playing field? What do you think?
Oh, who fucking knows? Oh, who can project that? Jesus Christ. What's that? All right, that might take 10 years before it escalates into something that the whole world needs to feel like they must do something about. And by that time, nobody's going to want to do that.
Okay,
I think. Or everybody's going to want to do something. We're going to have a fucking ground war, but we probably won't have a nuclear war. And even if we do have a nuclear war, it won't be what we've been presented to think it will be.
No, there'll be a one and done because we'll all shit ourselves again, like we did the first time.
There probably wouldn't even be that. There probably wouldn't even be one and done.
The odds are of it even happening are slim to none because everybody kind of gets the picture,
right?
That this is something we don't need to use,
right?
Our modern artillery is plenty deadly. Plenty deadly.
And you can use it to be a little more specific.
Instead of annihilating entire cities.
Yeah, you don't have to vilify yourselves.
Yeah, and become genocidal maniacs. That was us. Shit.
Well, I mean, to be fair...
I guess it wasn't us.
We definitely also had firebombed, which caused a ton more damage. 3 or 4 major Japan cities and those firebombs were like I think that if you ask somebody, hey, would you prefer to be incinerated in an instant or die in 45 minutes of hell?
The symbolism, I think, is that how many firebomb bombs were dropped
More.
to destroy a city.
Oh, many more.
Many.
Oh, the atomic
It
bomb
takes
is much more concise.
one.
Weapon. Yeah.
And then blink, wrap.
Not true.
It's a wrap.
I mean, if you're in the
Blast
kill
radius,
zone,
yeah.
then definitely
blink,
peace out, homie.
wrap.
It's nice knowing you. We'll make sure to sign your shadow on the wall. But it would not be total world annihilation. It just wouldn't be. It's not how it would be. It would be 500 million people dead. It wouldn't be 6 billion. It may even be 1 billion if you hit like specifically the most densely populated areas. You might get 1 billion. You might get 1 in 6 humans. But fucking Africa is going to be fine. Most of the U.S. is going to be fine.
That's true. Most of the Midwest of the United States will be fine.
I think Africa is going to be as fine as it ever
was. There's nothing to hit in Iraq with a nuclear weapon.
And now there's nobody to
Africa.
buy their blood diamonds.
Good. Maybe they won't be enslaved anymore. That might be nice for them. Maybe that'll be their chance to rise to power. Well, giant chunks of the planet are totally irradiated and
They
cannot
would
be
have
lived
to do
in.
something about their governing morality before they could rise to power, I think, in Africa. But it could present them the opportunity.
I think the Soviet Union comes back and puts balance back to the world.
Wow, you're really cheering them on with that statement.
That's not
I know
cheering
that's
them
not what
on.
you meant, but that's what I heard.
But if there's a light side and a dark side of the force, there has to be a balance. I don't care what you consider light and what side you consider dark. It has to be balanced.
It's too bad there's not a more neutral way to say balanced. Like, as an adult who would say that, like, I'm not saying positives and negatives. I'm just saying, like, equal,
We're different. Oh, no, shit. We tried that one before.
neutral amalgams that balance each other off.
Well, everybody thinks we're the great big bad bullies because we're the only bully on the block anymore.
Also, we are great big bad bullies.
As opposed to 30, 40 years ago, where there was another great big bad bully on the block, and everybody looked to us in an attempt to handle them. It was always us and them, and us and them, and the whole world kind of based their
after
going
World War,
on
yeah. After World
based
War
on the
II.
fact that we're in a standoff that's going to keep things neutral.
After World War II, it was pretty clear that the U.S. was going to be a major world superpower, and the fact that Russia was on land takeoverable made it secure.
Yeah.
And the fact, like, Russia had contributed a lot to World War II.
Oh,
A lot.
There were a lot of lives lost on their end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tons.
I mean, they
tons.
had as much to do with the victory in Europe as we did, for sure. Hands down.
No question.
Definitely. And then they came out of World War II spiteful. And, look at the situation. Who could blame them? Poor as fuck. All their men were dead.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there was 20 years earlier, they had lost all their men to World War I.
Yes.
And then all of everybody else to a flu epidemic in between World War I and World War II. Like, Russia
And,
got its ass kicked.
And a couple bad droughts and some famine. All in the span of about 100 years.
Yeah. Eastern European sucks to be you.
Yeah. Maybe I think, but can modern Soviet Republic, can the modern or Soviet Union financially hold it together?
Can the modern American state hold
Hold it together long enough?
That's where I'm less concerned about Russia, because I look at what we've been doing, and we can't hold it together. Like, I don't care if Russia can hold it together. We need to start holding it together.
Well, I guess that goes hand in hand with the question, because if we can't hold it together and they can,
Better speak Chinese, bitch. I did it again. That was for the listeners. Listeners, I was calling you bitches.
yeah, sure it
It
was.
was not for Corey.
Sure it was. They do it. they come up again and we can't hang and they can, what happens then? What's the world stage look like then?
I don't think it. I don't know.
A counterbalance has happened.
Honestly, I wash cars for a living and make a podcast once a week. I don't feel like this question is for me to field.
I was just seeing if you had an opinion, because it's a counterbalance has happened at that point. Instead of the dark side and the light side of the force becoming balanced, whatever side was at one point ahead is now swung below, and the other side is pull ahead, and some cosmic karma balance.
I think that where the world situation is heading is foggy, you know, and I think that it's always foggy. I think that the future is always, it's, you know, you can make predictions about this or that, but they're always just imaginings. It's, even if you base it on the best information, you're still imagining. We just can't predict, and that's such a big scenario with so many variables that are just super duper huge. Like, I mean, before we could get to the fact that if the U.S. is unable to compete, we have to get to how did the U.S. become unable to compete? Is it because of something that's already happened? Could be. Or is it because of the things that are happening all around us all the damn time? Could be that too. Could be both. I don't know. How about my buddy got a ticket for having a dealership plate frame? You want to talk about messed up social affairs?
That steps on my segue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I want to hear about this. Talk to me. Ticket?
I did.
Dealership plate frame?
Yeah, he had a dealership obstruction.
What local town was he in?
Dansville.
Oh, you poor ass, just trying to get a ticket, ass motherfuckers.
1 a.m. They pulled him over, couldn't get him on a DUI because he doesn't fucking drink, so they had to get him for something.
Do I now know who this friend is based on the fact that he doesn't drink?
I don't know.
Was there Dunkin' Donuts in his car at the time? Was that?
No. He doesn't. He lives in Rochester, man. No, you don't know this guy.
Okay, whatever. Go on.
So, yeah, 1 a.m., they pulled him over, had to have a reason. That was their reason. Obstruction. They got him. They pulled him over because of his dealer plate around his license plate.
Did they take a picture of it?
I don't know.
But if he takes a picture of it into court, the judge is going to be like,
oh, yeah, no, this isn't going to hold up in court. If I were him, I'd turn around and sue the fucking police. That's bullshit. You don't just fucking pull me over.
Harassment.
You're going to call it obstruction because my license plate has a frame around it? Go blow a goat, dick. That made me angry the minute I saw that. And then I made the fatal flaw of commenting on it. And then 1 million people commented it through the day, and my phone just fucking... Man, my battery lasted about half the time it usually lasts that day.
Don't you love it when you get in a very popular large thread?
No, I hate it. Unless I'm schooling the people in the thread, then I don't mind.
Oh,
then it's kind of a pat on the back. You know, it feels real nice. And that only happens some of the time.
And then none of the time?
And then none of the time, which, coincidentally, is exactly how much of the time is left in this break. Hey guys, it's Stacy from AirWreckRadio. A lot of times on this show, we scream and yell and piss and moan about getting out there and making a difference and getting your voice heard. And we've never really told you how to do that before. So here I am today to tell you how to get a hold of your senators for New York, Kristen Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer. For Kristen Gillibrand, you can send mail to 478 Russell Senate Office Building, Washington, D.C. 20510. Or you can call at 202-224-4451. If, like everybody else, you want to use the internet,
www.gildebrand.senate.gov/contact.
Contact these people and tell them that you want them to quit their jobs.
We're going to need to tell them how to contact Chuck Schumer, too. 322 Hart Senate Office Building, Washington, D.C., 20510 to send Chuck Schumer a mail. Maybe some flowers. 202-224-6542 to give him a buzz. Or you can email him www.schumer.senate.gov/contact/contact_Chuck CFM.
AirWreckRadio does not condone or endorse sending anything in the mail besides paper and pen.
That's a good point, yeah. Why would you send the pen?
Ink, I guess.
So that's been our PSA about how to get a hold of folks.
Hey folks, welcome back. It's time for a fun fact. Corey, did you know that January is named after old Roman god Janus?
I did not know that, Stacy. Thanks for the update.
He is the god of doorways, marriage, birth, lord of beginnings and transitions, as well as the god of harvests.
Wow, this guy's into some shit, boy.
He starts shit. He's a shit-starting motherfucker. That's why they gave him the first month. Oddly, the Romans had him for the 11th month.
Keep him in the back because he's a troublemaker. Get in the back, motherfucker. Get in the back.
So that's been your fun fact for the night. You know what that means? Means it's time for headline news.
Headline news.
How a wedding cake became a cause. This is a story from the Associated Press. Lakewood, Colorado. The encounter at Jack and Philip's Masterpiece Cake Shop lasted less than a minute. Philip stepped out behind the counter in his small, pastry-cramped shop to meet customers Charlie Craig and Dave Mullins. They told him they wanted a cake to celebrate their own marriage.
I'm sorry, what was his name?
Dave Mullins!
So it was Dave Mullins.
Yes. That's correct. Dave Mullins.
Okay. Dave Mullins. I love it.
You nailed it. And Charlie Craig, but you can call me Chuck. They wanted a cake to celebrate their marriage. Phillips, the cake maker, replied he couldn't, but that he'd be glad to make one for other occasions, such as birthdays. Left unsaid was how making a gay wedding cake would violate his Christian faith, how he does not make ones for Halloween or bachelor parties either. Now, I would like to know, is a gay wedding cake a cake for a gay wedding or a cake which is gay and is for any wedding?
It's a very good use of punctuation there. Emphasis is important in that statement, I guess.
It is a gay wedding cake. This cake,
a gay
all it
wedding
wanted,
cake.
All this cake wanted
As
was the
opposed to a gay
support
wedding cake.
of the other pastries. That's the real story here.
My opinion? Guys got a right.
Nobody cares. Shut up. No, I'm kidding.
Guy's got a right to bake whatever cakes he wants to bake and not bake.
You know,
I mean, he's a hardcore Christian, so it kind of makes him a D-bag.
You know,
but
it actually doesn't sound like I'll move. I want to editorialize, but I want to move along in the story. What do we do?
Move along in that editorialize.
Let's go with. It sounds like he's a D-bag. I'm inclined to say that it actually sounds like he's more what you probably actually meant was he's a hardcore Christian, which is another thing you said.
That's
because
he seems like a very polite man.
He also doesn't make one. He won't make a cake for Halloween, and he won't make one for a bachelor party.
And that seems like a reasonable. That those are things that offend me.
So there's two kinds of customers other than gay people that he's turned away.
For a reasonable, he has the right to practice his religion.
You do have a right to choose your customers, I guess, but
and practice your religion. It's all kind of.
But you don't have a right to discriminate. So this is a toughie. This is a toughie. Craig and Mullins left the shop stunned. Left unsaid was how they viewed themselves as a regular couple who liked the taste of dicks. No, that's the story.
Is that what they wrote in the story?
That's
Jesus
not
Christ.
what they wrote in this story.
What kind of stories are you reading over here?
Left unsaid was how they viewed themselves as a regular couple, their wedding a private celebration, not a political statement. They simply wanted a no-frills cake. I don't know about you, but I just want a cake with no frills.
It's just got to be simple and elegant.
Simple. Like,
I want it to have white frosting with just a little bit of blue on the edges.
I'm disgusted with you for doing that. No, I'm
White
not.
and blue, they're my favorite colors.
No, Corey, you assumed the voice of what you assumed was a stereotypical gay person.
I certainly did, sir.
What kind of person does that?
The kind that might just be slightly offensive.
And I mean, seriously, it's not even a good accent. All right, I'm done with the gay accent now. I want to move into the meat and potatoes. That's what he said. Oh, the story. Story that keeps on giving. They simply wanted a no-frills cake. Crushed. I'm so crushed. They posted a note about the encounter on Facebook, and soon...
I swore in my head I finished in the word velvet. Because we were talking about gay guys. Crushed velvet.
I'm so crushed velvet over this. I'm going straight to Facebook. Crushed. They posted a note about the encounter on Facebook, and soon the cake had become a cause, with the sides becoming stand-ins for the culture wars. Phillips was portrayed as an intolerant business owner. The couple became black activists. Plot twist.
They became black activists?
No, Corey, they became gay activists. Don't be
You
stupid.
said black.
Why would I say black?
Because you did.
It doesn't even make sense. They were white when they showed up. Hey, you know what? They might not have been.
That was going to be my question.
This
Were
story,
they actually black?
This story actually doesn't say. I just assume that two gay people are probably white. I think I'm some kind of racist.
Or bigot or something.
Bigot, I guess,
I don't
at the
know.
very least.
You're definitely a misogynist.
It was one
and
of...
for the record, you totally said black.
I know I did. I know what I did. I was there. It was one of several incidents that inspired legislation in at least 11 states that would have allowed business owners to cite their religious beliefs in denying service to patrons. Maybe if this guy was Muslim, we'd have a harder time taking his side.
No, I think I would.
What if he refused to serve
Christians? Good for you, sir.
I was going to use the infidels, but, I guess half dozen of one, 6 of the other.
Good for you, sir. I mean, listen.
You want to run a business.
This is where you can find a little bit of my free market capitalist. There's a little bit in there.
Is there?
There's a little bit in there.
Come on. I've never seen that side of you.
Really? No, never. Listen, if you want to not serve the infidel.
Oh, they are white. There's a picture of them kissing like gay people.
Oh, yummy.
They're actually kissing just like normal people. In fact, one of the dudes has long hair.
Oh, so we're halfway there. It's like almost the same thing already.
They're also both very stubbly. They're going to work up a shock. Somebody's going to get a shock.
If both of them have a beard, there's going to be some serious friction going on here.
Tase me, bro, hon.
Bro, hun?
Bro, hon.
Well, that's my new thing. Don't do that, bro, hun. Well, that's what I say now. Good job, Stace. Don't remember what I was about to say, but I know what I say now. Bro, hun.
So, basically...
Oh, I'm sorry. I remembered my point.
Oh.
If the If the Islamic baker doesn't want to serve the infidel, that's all well and good as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how much money he's going to make without our
We make
goods.
only flatbread in this store. Nothing living. I know that's the Hebrew baker.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true for Islamic bakers as well. I've never met an Islamic baker.
But you're probably not going to make a whole lot of money not serving people. So I think free market would dictate this one, and if you don't serve the public, you're going to go out of business.
Here's the niche about this particular story. Now, this is what makes this story different than all the other stories. For some reason, the news picked up on this one. This probably happens a million times in the U.S. every day. That's probably an exaggeration. It's almost
$1
certainly,
million? That's a lot.
It's almost certainly an exaggeration. It would be very hard to believe that a trillion incidents just like this happen every single day. But
in the U.S.
it could be. Who knows?
Is what you qualified.
Yeah. A lot of hate out there these days. You know? I mean, haters are busy.
72,000 bakers, 7 trillion rejections a day.
And yet they're still in business. So what sets this story apart is the fact that the news picked up on it and reported it. So subsequently, this gay couple,
no.
hang in there.
I thought that's where you're going with that.
This gay couple has, now that I've said that 3 times, I really want to say it.
What couple? This gay couple?
I just want to say this couple,
good job,
at least one time. I feel like it's important to not punctuate them with a qualifier.
Okay, so the last time.
This loving couple.
That was a qualifier, but it was a positive qualifier.
They're getting married. They must be in love.
It's positive. I like
or like trying to get a mortgage or something. I don't know.
Or some health care or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, wait, now they can't. They have to send it for Obamacare.
I don't know what those people do. Stop it. What do you mean those people?
And you look at me when I say the gay. But in my defense, I love the gay.
This couple has received offers for cakes from as far away as Japan. They were just like, "You want cake? I send you cake. I just send you cake. You no money here. We get you cake. 10 minutes.
Okay, maybe $40. Okay, maybe $40.
You know, I just say, my son, he glow. I'm sorry, he grow. That's how we say he grow in the dark. So the couple is.
So we've officially.
This was not an issue for the couple. They just posted on Facebook, like anybody would post something that irritates them on Facebook. And the guy, they said the couple even went on to say that the guy, he was cool. He just it was shocking to us that he wouldn't make us. He was such a nice guy. It was shocking that he wouldn't make us a cake. The guy, his business is a booming. Bigots like cake. It turns out they're just like everybody else, and they like cake.
I don't know that I'm a bigot because I support his freedom to serve who he likes.
Well, that's not why you're a bigot. You're a bigot because you hate people different than you.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
That's not true.
Not at all. And
I don't think that's true.
I think the wreckheads have figured that out by now. Maybe. If not, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. No, that's not our slogan. That's another show.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of another show, because I often do their accents. So far in this show, we've successfully done a stereotypical gay voice and a stereotypical Asian person voice.
I try to do an Asian voice at least once an episode.
Can we work in Spanish and black here in the near future?
No Espanol, homie. Nailed it.
Okay, we've definitely worked in some nerdy white guy too. I don't know. That's primarily a lot of that one there. Do you have any more on that story?
No, that's pretty much it.
Did we beat that to death?
I'm so in the middle on this one because I'm with you. A business, free speech dictates that you should be able to not do business with who you don't want to do business. If I think you're rude, I don't have to sell you something.
Free market. But if you reject you reject enough people, you'll fail.
Yes, that's the other thing. There is definitely a free market bit of business that's involved in that. I just man, sell them the cake, Colorado bakery guy. I mean, come on, dude. Smoke some herb and sell the motherfucker a cake.
I don't want you to get me wrong. After I heard this story, if this was our neighborhood, this would be the last guy I bought a cake from because he wouldn't serve the gay couple.
Because you just ran over there and bought a cake, so he was the last person you brought a cake from?
Exactly.
Or you would not buy a cake from him unless nobody else had a cake for you?
Exactly, that latter one there.
Okay.
The last one.
Got it.
Because I don't agree with his not being open-minded about same-sex marriage.
It's a fucking cake, dude. What the fuck do you care?
I also don't agree with his Halloween and bachelor party cakes.
God's
What do you
gonna
care.
You're telling me God's gonna send you to hell for writing Chuck and Dave on a wedding cake?
No, but America's going to send you to the poor line for not being a good capitalist and taking my green money.
No, he's picked up a lot of business. Business is booming. He's fine. He's good. There's no foul here. The whole country's up in arms over it.
Because the news picked it up. But if this was handled on a local level, he would actually hurt business depending on where he was.
Depending on where he was. He's in Colorado, so I'm pretty sure that the pastries industry is covered based on the fact that it is now legal to experience the munchies for yourself in Colorado.
You're now allowed to buy your pastries with weed in it.
Already in there. They put your weed in there for you.
And then you just eat the deliciousness.
Do it ahead of time. You want a Twinkie laced with weed? They probably got that.
I
don't
guarantee
know.
you
I don't know that, but I think that's probably, if that's not true, I'm moving
Guess
to Colorado.
what we're doing?
And starting a motherfucking business.
I'm right with you, buddy. We'll do it. We'll get it done.
Call it Twinkweed. We'll put a sign out that says gays welcome.
Twinkied.
All right. Well, I believe
We got to do the newscaster thing and shift gears. Ready? So take your smiley face and go to the serious face. Sad story.
bringing it down a notch at
Bring it
AirWreckRadio.
Here we go.
All right, I'm ready.
Father handcuffed after daughter 10 accidentally shot and killed by brother in Georgia home.
I didn't know for sure that she died until just now.
The little girl, Taylor Jowers, asked her older brother to hold the gun inside the family's Waycross home on Friday. But as the boy tried to unload the gun, he accidentally blasted her in the living room.
What?
Accidentally blasted her into the living room.
Okay.
Their father, Joshua Jowers, a convicted felon, was later arrested for illegally keeping several firearms.
Oh my God! Whoa.
Inside the home.
He's
Not the wholesome story you thought it was, that he was just an
He's a
accident.
felon.
Yeah.
There
These
shouldn't
were
even
illegal
been
guns.
in that
Yeah,
fucking house. God damn it!
I'm going to give you one guess as to what structure that house is.
Oh, I'm going to guess modular.
How did you know?
Well,
Let me give you a hint.
because felons don't have terrific employment records, so they generally can't afford a condo.
I'm going to give you a hint. This home could leave its location, and the stairs would stay there.
Oh God!
Uh,
I didn't know any of that about this story. I thought I had heard that it was like the mother's boyfriend's gun, and she had left it out.
I think
he
this,
had left it out.
I think we were talking different stories because I couldn't. You mentioned that the kid, the boy, was younger than the daughter,
Oh God! Is there two stories?
and I cannot find an age or a name for this the boy.
You won't find a name.
I can't find anything.
No, they
On
don't.
him.
They don't disclose the names of minors in these kind of things.
I don't think they're giving his age either in this case.
The story I had heard was a 2-year-old that shot a 10-year-old, and it was the mother's boyfriend's gun he had left on the nightstand, and that was all the details I had. But I didn't read that story; I just heard it.
Yeah, I definitely don't have an age here, and it sounds like
I had a bunch of opinions prepared for that story. That story's different.
well, it said that the boy was trying to unload the gun, so that implies to me that the boy was older than 2.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. A 2-year-old probably not really
Apt at
versed
unloading
in the
guns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you wouldn't really say a 2-year-old.
Apparently,
was trying
this
to do
one's not
anything.
either.
God, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
So these were illegal guns.
Yes. I don't know that they're illegal guns on the grounds that they were purchased illegally, but I do know they're illegal guns on the grounds that they are not allowed to be owned by a felon.
Did they say what kind of gun it was?
A shotgun.
Well, that's about as easy as it gets to buy.
Yeah.
Still, a felon can't buy one.
No.
So,
You can't.
God damn it.
And that
I hate to
explains
be
why
like-
the blasted into the living room line.
I hate to be, yeah, for sure. I hate to be on the we need better gun securities control side of things, but we definitely need to, like, why does this felon have a shotgun? Why is that? How did that come to be?
one that he could leave out.
But then again, what's he a felon for?
That's a good question. But I don't,
because if he's a felon for DWI, I don't think he's a felon. Except that he technically and legally and in reality is a felon.
Now he's culpable for murder.
Oh, well, now he's fucked.
Now he's culpable for murder.
Pretty rightfully so. I don't care, even if it was a legal gun. Thank you for getting me back on track with an opinion that I could have. Homie, you got family, you got little kids in this house. Why, oh why were your children able to get to your gun?
Period.
Why is that?
Because you're irresponsible fucking D-bag who's out on parole or whatever because you're a fucking felon piece of shit. Sorry, you're right. You were right about the DWI might be a felon thing. You're absolutely right about that. But something tells me he's not.
Well, I mean, I could pretend to know things, and it would make me feel that way too. And I'm inclined to go along with that. But it is like you got to realize when you say something like "something tells me," which is a sentiment that I share with you in this. When you say that, you're saying I'm going to invent details that make it convenient for me to believe what I want to believe, or at least project.
You're not wrong. But here's my counter argument for that. As I know several people who are now felons.
What are their names and addresses?
I'll write them all down. I'm not announcing them on the podcast. Who are felons because of either drug or drunk driving charges. And we both agree that those people shouldn't be felons. And guess what? None of those people do. Own guns. You know why?
Because
felons? Before they were made into felons, they were law-abiding citizens. Now that they were made into felons, they're still law-abiding citizens. They just have more laws to abide to, and they abide to them.
And it's hard to get a job with a felony.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Which leads you to live in a trailer because, cheap rent.
What leads me to believe that this guy wasn't an upstanding citizen before he got a DWI or marijuana arrest was the fact that he illegally owned guns and left them around for children to...
Yeah. Pick up your guns, friends. Legal or otherwise. Pick up your guns. You got to keep a gun in your bedroom? Fine.
I like how much you sound like Bob Lonsberry right there. Friends, pick up your guns, friends.
I want to give people a hot tip. Here's what you do with your gun. If you insist that you have to keep a gun loaded and ready, put it over your bedroom door.
Yeah, where somebody 6 foot or taller can reach it.
Secure it to the top of your bedroom door where your children can't get to it. It's that easy. I think. I don't know. Unless you got terrible children who can't help but get into things and just need to play with your guns. Because we don't know that about this story either. Perhaps this gun wasn't lying around. Perhaps it was in the safe. And the son had seen the dad open the safe once and we don't. There's no details. So I'm just saying, I'm inclined to think that this guy doesn't have all these extenuating circumstances that make this more forgivable.
Again, you're right. I don't have evidence to the contrary. However, I offer you this bit of argument.
Hold on. Before you do,
yes,
can you say that thing about me again?
Where you're correct.
Oh, I love it. All right, thank you. Continue.
Where in his modular home is the construction of the floor going to be strong enough to hold the approved gun safe? And where the hell is this guy getting a real gun safe?
Are you saying there's no... All right, first off, I've picked a gun safe. It was the easiest lock. It was the second easiest lock I've ever picked.
You picked a car gun safe.
Yeah, I still picked that fucking thing. You know what's the easiest lock in the world to pick? Bike lock. Oh my God, those things are easy as shit.
Yeah, it's called a crowbar. Tink. It
No,
fall right apart.
No, you don't need to do that. You can turn the combination, and it's only a 4-number combination on a spinning on a spindle. It's spoilers, friends. If you lock your bike because you think it makes it safe, I'm just telling people it's easy to do. I'm not going to tell them how to do it. I feel like that might be amoral. And I did it only for legal things. And that's true.
I believe it. Nah, I don't know where I am because you were off on your lockpicking.
I believe you were about to start talking about another story.
Well, don't you have something, sir?
Yes.
Well, then you do
Thank
it.
you for the wonderful segue, Corey. An Idaho school system has removed a book from the curriculum after parental outrage. There's no kind of more irritating outrage to deal with than parental outrage over a book. This is in Salmon, Ohio. The largest school district in Ohio has banned from its curriculum an award-winning book about the struggles of a Native American teenager after complaints by parents that the novel was rife with profanity, racial epithets, and anti-Christian rhetoric. Wait a minute. So you're telling me you're telling me that a book written from the standpoint of a Native American teenager has to do with profanity, racism, and anti-Christian rhetoric? I can't imagine how any young Indian person could have such feelings.
Which one of us white-skinned people wants to stand in the middle of Redskin Stadium and read this novel into a microphone?
I'm okay with the Redskins as a team name. I don't think there's anything racist about that.
We'll save that talk for another podcast.
We had that talk on this podcast.
Are you sure? Because I disagree with you.
We did. We disagreed about it.
Okay. But
and I know that I'm a bigot for saying. I know that I'm in the wrong on that one. I know it. But it doesn't change the fact that I just think that, like, come on, man, this is.
You're okay. I guess we're having this conversation right now.
Aren't there bigger things?
You're right. There are.
Like, they're so poor. They're so, like, it sucks to be Native American, and it's not because of the fucking Redskins emblem. It's because they've been put into fucking corners after we came and stole their land.
These are exactly the points. We put them in corners after we stole their land just so we could use a symbol of them to
hold on.
Construct our capitalistic beliefs. Hold on. No.
All right, but when you're done.
No.
Fine, go ahead.
Whether you believe the term redskin is racist or not, as long as you would not or could not have the black skinned, the Brooklyn black skin or brown skins, as much as you couldn't, or the Brooklyn blackface.
The New York niggers, friends.
As much as you couldn't have, the Alexandria.
What are you gonna
Asians.
one up the New York niggers? Is that, you're gonna try to one up? You're gonna beat that?
No, it's not a beat that. It's a point. As long as you can, as long as you couldn't do it with an Asian or a black or a Jewish person, you don't have the right to do it with a freaking Indian. If the black person and the Asian person all have and the gay person and the white person all have the right to be offended if you used their likeness in that kind of way. So do these people, especially these people in this country, because if anybody can prove directly the false doings of their people in this country, it's the Native Americans, who we've called Indians several times throughout this conversation.
They call themselves Indians. All right. Again, I know that my point of view on this issue is wrong. I know it. It doesn't make me care. I mean, I do care about the inequality that minorities experience in this country, and that includes Native Americans. It definitely goes to everybody. But the social, economical problems for Native Americans are so far afield from this stupid, grinning fucking cartoon character.
Oh, that's Chief Wahoo.
Okay.
That's Chief Wahoo of the Cleveland Indians.
What? If he's Chief Wahoo, that's a little different.
That's Chief Wahoo of the Cleveland Indians.
Oh, you're right. The Redskins, at least he even looks like an Indian.
Yeah, he's
I mean, he doesn't own a casino, but
he has much more the proud, full feather in the hair look.
Yeah,
stern face.
That's racist too, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's kind of like the head on the Buffalo Nickel, actually.
The nickel?
Shut up. The nickel.
It is racist. It is.
It is.
Sorry, it is. Now, I mean, again, if you could have the New York niggers, If you could,
Yeah, you can't top that one,
if
can
you
you?
could have Massachusetts monkey ball topped it, then I wouldn't give a shit about the Redskins. But you can't do that.
That, Corey,
The Miami Puerto Ricans. Oh, yeah.
there's nothing racist about calling somebody a Puerto Rican if they're from Puerto Rico. It's like there's nothing.
But
wrong
you
with
couldn't.
that.
But you still couldn't even
call
do
them
it.
The Spicks.
You still couldn't. You couldn't even go. The Brooklyn black guys. The Alexandria Asian men. You couldn't even go
Yes.
that. You could not even do that.
I get your point, Corey, and I agree with it.
All right. I'm sorry.
I just
Don't care.
think. No, it's not that I don't care. It's that I just think that Native Americans have bigger issues, and that's not like I understand that one they picked that one because it draws a lot of attention to them, such as great podcasts like this one are talking about it. Even though a moment ago they were talking about Meriden, Ohio. A school board that recently voted 2-1 this week to keep the book The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian off a supplemental reading list for 10th graders, meaning it will not be the opposite of on, meaning it will not be part of the curriculum at the high school, said board clerk. That's different.
That's different.
Then Trish Duncan. The 2007 Sherman Alexie novel, which won the 2007 National Book Award for Young People's Literature, is still available in the school's library, she said. I assume that when it says she said, they're talking about Sherman Alexie, because that was the last person's name used in this paragraph. But looking back on it, I think they're actually talking about what Trish Duncan, the board clerk, said. I hate that I'm more literate than the people that write news stories.
Isn't that annoying?
It makes me so angry.
Basically, what you're telling me is that the man's institution has censored our children again.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to explain this to another friend of ours that schools are nothing but the man's institution, and that they don't have place. It's just the way they are now. And the way they run now, it's nothing more than the man's institution.
Yeah.
And now they literally, it's to the point where they'll censor the things. Harry Potter was an issue, 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, my God. I mean, what an
Do you remember that?
anti-Christian book that was, Harry Potter. Jesus, those people didn't say one Hail Mary, and it was all full of magic, and it didn't have anything to do with the Holy Trinity.
I'm telling you. Well, there's only one kind of magic that's okay magic.
Yep.
And that's my magic.
That's the magic that I believe in, obviously. So, Corey, I thought it would be helpful to this episode if I recorded an excerpt from this book that got banned.
All right.
It actually, and to be fair, this book didn't actually get banned. That's just what the headline led me to believe. The book just got removed from the list of books that they could read for credit. So that's not the same thing. Would you like to hear an excerpt from The Totally True Diary of a Part-Time Indian?
Sure.
The Black Eye of the Month Club. I was born with water on the brain. Okay, so that's not exactly true. I was actually born with too much cerebral fluid inside my skull. But cerebral spinal fluid is just the doctor's fancy way of saying brain grease. And brain grease works inside the lobes like car grease works inside an engine. It keeps things running smooth and fast. But weirdo me, I was born with too much grease inside my skull, and it got all thick and muddy and disgusting, and it only mucked up the works. My thinking and breathing and living engines slowed down and flooded. My brain was drowning in grease. But that makes the whole thing sound weirdo and funny, like my brain was a giant French fry, so it seems more serious and poetic and accurate to say, I was born with water on the brain. Okay, so maybe that's not a very serious way to say it either. Maybe the whole thing is weird and funny. But geez, did my mother and father and big sister and grandma and cousins and aunts and uncles think it was funny when the doctors cut open my little skull and sucked all that extra water out with some tiny vacuum? I was only 6 months old and I was supposed to croak during the surgery. And even if I somehow survived the mini Hoover, I was supposed to suffer serious brain damage during the procedure and live the rest of my life as a vegetable. Well, I obviously survived the surgery. I wouldn't be writing this if I didn't, but I have all sorts of physical problems that are directly the result of my brain damage. First of all, I ended up having 42 teeth. The typical human has 32, right? But I had 42. 10 more than usual. 10 more than normal. 10 teeth past human. My teeth got so crowded that I could barely close my mouth. I went to Indian Health Service to get some teeth pulled so I could eat normally, not like some slobbering vulture. But the Indian Health Service funded major dental work only once a year, so I had to have all 10 teeth pulled in one day. And what's more, our white dentist believed that Indians felt only half as much pain as white people did, so he gave us only half the Novocaine. What a bastard, huh? Indian Health Service also funded eyeglass purchases only once a year and offered one style, those ugly, thick, black plastic ones. My brain damage left me nearsighted in one eye and farsighted in the other, so my ugly glasses were all lopsided because my eyes were so lopsided. I got headaches because my eyes were like enemies, you know? Like they used to be married to each other but then hated each other's guts. I started wearing glasses when I was 3, so I ran around the reservation, the res, looking like a 3-year-old Indian grandpa. And oh, I was skinny. I'd turn sideways and disappear, but my hands and feet were huge. My feet were size 11 when I was in 3rd grade, and with my big feet and pencil body, I looked like a capital L walking down the road, and my skull was enormous. Epic. My head was so big that little Indian skulls orbited around it. Some of the kids called me Orbit, and other kids just called me Globe. The bullies would pick me up, spin me in circles, and put their fingers down on my skull and say, "I want to go there." So obviously, I looked goofy on the outside, but it was the inside stuff that was the worst. First of all, I had seizures. The doctors gave me medicine for them. It was a pill called phenobarbital, which is like this major sedative, so I was a junkie before I could even walk. I had to crawl across the floor in my diapers to get my fix. Those seizures can damage your brain, but the thing is, I was having those seizures because I already had brain damage, so I was reopening wounds each time I seized. Yep, whenever I had a seizure, I was damaging my damage. I haven't had a seizure in 7 years, but the doctors tell me that I am susceptible to seizure activity. Isn't that one of the worst phrases you've ever heard? Susceptible to seizure activity. Doesn't that just roll off the tongue like poetry? I also had a stutter and a lisp, or maybe I should say I had a stutter and a lisp. You wouldn't think there is anything life-threatening about speech impediments, but let me tell you, there is nothing more dangerous than being a kid with a stutter and a lisp. A 5-year-old is cute when he lisps and stutters. Heck, most of the time kid actors stutter and lisp their way to stardom. And geez, you're still fairly cute when you're stuttering and lisping 6, 7, and 8-year-old, but it's over when you turn 9 and 10. After that, your stutter and lisp turn you into a retard. And if you're 14 years old like me, and you're still stuttering and lisping, then you become the biggest retard in the world. Everybody on the res calls me a retard about twice a day. They call me retard when they are pantsing me, or stuffing my head in the toilet, or just smacking me upside the head. I'm not even writing down this story the way I actually talk, because I'd have to fill it with stutters and lisps, and then you'd be wondering why you're reading a story written by such a retard. Do you know what happens to retards on the res? They get beat up, at least once a month. Yep, I belong to the Black Eye of the Month Club. Sure, I want to go outside. Every kid wants to go outside, but it is safer to stay at home, so I mostly hang out alone in my bedroom and read books and draw cartoons. I draw all the time. I draw cartoons of my mother and father, my sister and grandmother, my best friend Rowdy, and everyone else on the res. I draw because words are too unpredictable. I draw because words are too limited. If you speak and write in English, or Spanish, or Chinese, or any other language, then only a certain percentage of human beings will get your meaning. But when you draw a picture, everyone can understand it. If I draw a cartoon of a flower, then every man, woman, and child in the world can look at it and say, "That's a flower." So I draw because I want to talk to the world, and I want the world to pay attention to me. I feel important with a pen in my hand. I feel like I might grow up to be somebody important, an artist, Maybe a famous artist. Maybe a rich artist. That's the only way I can become rich and famous. Just take a look at the world. Almost all of the rich and famous brown people are artists. They're singers and actors and writers and dancers and directors and poets. So I draw because I feel like it might be my only real chance to escape the reservation. I think the world is a series of broken dams and floods, and my cartoons are tiny little lifeboats. An excerpt from The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. Copyright 2007 by Sherman Alexie. So, Corey, after hearing a brief excerpt from the book, I think that I can see, I see the one side where they wanted to, this shouldn't be required reading. But it wasn't required reading. It was optional. Like you have a list of books to choose from that are you have to read. Like say you have to read 3 of these. You had to go through this in high school, correct?
Something similar to that, I'm sure.
You had a list of you had to read 3 books a year that were not like Romeo and Juliet or fucking Holden Caulfield or Catcher in the Rye was that one, which is actually no less vulgar than this book, judging by that one excerpt, which did have a wide variety of quote unquote vulgarities. This kid had the audacity to call himself retarded instead of neuroatypical. See that? That's what we call a bring it back. No re-rack on that, Corey.
The only vulgarity I noticed in that clip was you making a clip. Oh, how's it hurt?
Oh, fuck you. That's how that hurts. I'll make funky-ass noises in the middle of this episode over that shit.
Good job, Stacy, yet again.
Yeah, just be jealous. It's all right. I understand, man. None of your pieces of production include live piano. I get it. I understand. It's all right.
Might have something to do with the fact that I don't know how to play the piano.
Me neither. As is evident by the piano music in the background of that clip. But you can see, I think, as a parent, I can see why this book might upset somebody. However, as a thinking, free human being, I'm capable of thinking, well, this wasn't actually required reading. It just was one of several books on the supplemental required reading list, where there would be a list of 10 books or so, and you would have to read 3 books or so off of that list.
I got to tell you, I got to stick with my original statement on this one.
Which was what?
Being censored by the man's institution.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of censorship. I guess I wouldn't really want high school kids reading Hustler and getting credit for it. But one, they're already reading Hustler, so why not give them credit for it?
And isn't any reading good reading, Stacy?
And 2, is anybody in the 21st century actually reading Hustler?
A very good, with great publications like Swank and National Geographic.
Corey,
who'd want to?
I can't think of a better place to go to break. And just look up some demographics on who's reading Hustler these days. So, folks, hang in for a word from our sponsors. We don't have sponsors, so just a word from whoever we feel like giving you a word from.
Maybe someday we'll have sponsors.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Schofield, host of The Sco Zone. If you like sports and you hate politically correct sports radio shows, you might want to check out The Sco Zone, available on rocpodcast.com. It's sports from the degenerate's perspective. We bet you'll love it. No, seriously. I'll bet you.
Thank you for listening to AirWreckRadio and sitting through our last break, where you probably, most likely, heard of a word from one of our fellow ROC podcasts, including Mental Overload Show.
Our pod friends.
Our pod friends. That's even creepier. Including the Mental Overload Show, who I just scored a major slam dunk on.
Yeah, that's right,
what
Corey.
Now, boy?
For listeners who don't know, the Mental Overload Show hosts a death pool. This is where a bunch of douchebags guess on
like yours truly
what old-ass famous people might die this year. And while nobody hit on... I don't know, who is the young guy that died this year of the heroin?
Of the heroin overdose.
The heroin overdose guy. Who is that?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That guy. Did anybody have him?
No.
How could that be? Oh, that's right, because heroin comes out of nowhere. Because
he was a young guy who died of a heroin overdose.
Kills the best Joker ever. and then like a famous.
No,
Is that wrong?
that's wrong.
Wait, Philip Seymour Hoffman wasn't the Joker?
No,
Really?
Heath Ledger was the Joker.
Come on,
And
the guy from Brokeback Mountain.
Yes,
What?
and he ate too many sleeping pills.
Wait a
and
minute.
never
You're
woke
telling
up.
me Edward Scissorhands died of a heroin overdose?
No, that's Johnny Depp.
Who?
Johnny Depp.
No, that's the dude from Mortal Kombat.
Who the fuck was in Mortal Kombat that I even know their names?
Johnny Cage. Liu Kang.
Go
Get
on.
over here. No, I can't go on. It was your story.
No, you were saying something though. And you got off.
I don't know what it was. I always get off.
You were explaining the celebrity death.
The
pool.
celebrity death pool at the Mental Overload show. This is a fun thing where people bet on old celebrities who die. And so far this year, Corey, until very recently, was there anybody that had scored a hit?
No, not a one. Not that I remember seeing announced at all.
But as of a day that I would like you to specify right now,
Today,
as of today, there has been one person to score a hit on the Mental Overload show's death draft. Corey, would you tell us who that lucky winner is?
that motherfucker would be me, son.
What? You died?
No. I got a hit on the draft.
Shucks. Well, better luck next time, Stace.
No, I'm done. See, I don't even want to.
Who died?
Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney?
Yeah.
The guy from Hellboy?
No.
Who's that?
That's Mickey Rourke.
Oh. I thought he seemed kind of young for 97.
That's Mickey Rooney was a child actor from The Wiz-A Biz-A.
Who's Andy Rooney?
I don't know.
What about John Rooney?
Also don't
Still
know.
don't know? All right, so Andy Rooney, would you tell me who he was? Because apparently I don't have a clue.
He was a childhood actor who was in about 1 million films.
That sounds creepy.
He's had 8 wives. He was in film.
Oh, it's getting creepier.
He was in
8 wives at once? He had a harem?
yeah, he had a harem.
Rooney doesn't sound like a Muslim name.
Over his 90 years of being in show business, he
Wait,
had
what?
8 wives. He was a child actor from
It was
the time
90. Is that a real? Is that
17
a real number?
months was his first acting gig.
What was he? The Gerber baby?
No, he was not the Gerber baby.
What if it was though? Wouldn't that have been awesome if you were like he was? And I was like, I know.
Because I'm amazing like that.
Yeah.
No. So I had I got Mickey. I picked Mickey Rooney. I picked John McCain,
Good bet.
Mickey
John
Rooney.
McCain.
and Burt Reynolds.
The world could only be so lucky. Unless you were John McCain's wife, in which case you would feel completely unlucky. The motherfucker is bad at finger banging, I'm just saying. That's Bob Dole, you asshole.
Joel, you're an asshole. You're the one who said the joke.
I didn't say that shit.
Who did?
You did.
I did not.
I heard you.
Liar.
I'm going to edit it. And it's
luck.
going to sound like you. I have an effects pedal. I'll string it together out of words you said before.
I've done that to you on the
Not
show
doing
before.
that work. That is not happening. So, you had the death pool.
Mickey Rooney.
You won the death pool and Mickey Rooney. Did you hear that on Saturn's moon Enceladus,
I did hear.
they've found compelling evidence for liquid water below the surface?
25 miles below the ice.
They've known for... I'm glad that you knew this one. This is
Yeah.
good. We're actually going to both get to contribute without either one of us having a written story in front of us. Enceladus is, I believe, the third largest of Saturn's moon.
Correct.
And they've seen geysers spouting from it before. So we knew that it had like some kind of pressure was going on, and it was spitting ice water because it doesn't stay liquid for long.
In the
So
vacuum of
far
space.
away
Yeah,
from
yeah.
sun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure Saturn is as far away from the sun.
2.2 billion miles from Earth.
It's twice as far from the sun as Earth.
Yeah.
It is 2 astronomical units. Is that right? No, EU? Yeah. AUs. 2 AUs. That is 2 distances of Earth to the sun away from the sun. So it's cold as fuck out towards Saturn. And you might say, well, how could there be liquid water in a place that's cold as fuck?
Well, go outside and build an igloo, and then crawl inside that igloo, and see if you stay warm. You will. Because ice offers insulation.
Especially if you are frequently warped and stretched by the planet's gravity that's the size of Saturn.
Yeah, with all that kind of friction on the molecules. Yeah.
So what causes the heat? Because it's too small of a planet for its core to be molten just under its own gravity.
Moon.
I'm sorry, it's too small of a celestial body for its core to be heated by its own gravity. It's not dense enough for that kind of heat. The kind of heat that we enjoy here on Earth. Its orbit around Saturn makes it flex tidally, so it comes close to Saturn and it becomes more oblong, and it gets further away from Saturn and it becomes less oblong, and that growth makes warmth, and that warmth makes it's enough warmth that this planet has a liquid ocean under its this moon. I'm sorry, I did it again. This moon has a liquid water ocean under its south pole.
See, I had heard the insulation theory.
That I'm sure has something to do with it, but it is because of Saturn, the heat that originally.
It's probably a combination of two. The flexing creates heat.
It
and the
certainly
insulation
helps
of the
that there's
ice holds it
something there
liquid.
to be frozen over the top. Because if there was nothing there to be frozen, there would A, be nothing under to be liquid water, and B, the liquid water wouldn't be able to be. There's enough water there that it could have this ice insulating sheet, which definitely counts for keeping the
25
heat
miles
in.
thick.
Yeah, that's a big ass deal. And we already know that here on Earth, life doesn't need light. It lives on thermal vents in the deep, deep ocean. Mm-hmm. Thermal vents, just like you might see in a planet constantly crushed and uncrushed by the gravity of a planet the size of Saturn.
What are they called? Water bears?
Yes.
That can survive in extreme cold. We don't even need...
Yeah, those tiny little fuckers.
Yeah.
They're so adorable.
They are cute little things. They little sucker faces.
I've seen those things all over the place lately because they can survive in a vacuum for I think it's 10 hours.
I think it was 10 or 11 hours.
In the vacuum of space. These little fucking things. So it seems...
And these are found on Earth everywhere. I mean, they're all over the place.
It seems very plausible that there may be some kind of, at least the potential for bacterial life, because there's liquid water and there's heat, if there's just enough other bullshit there. And there should be, because it's got this huge planet Saturn next to it that does this great job of sweeping up the junk. Its moon's got to get hit just like our moon gets hit more than we do. And if it gets hit, it gets the stuff. And if it's got, a place that's kind of an atmosphere, because all that ice turns the water into a kind of atmosphere, because it keeps in, what's in, it keeps in, instead of like a planet with no atmosphere. Whatever it gets, it just dissipates.
Well, within the next 6 months, you're going to get a lot of your answers, because the Cassini probe,
yeah,
that's investigating Saturn, will be moving between the moon and the Saturn's rings.
I'm excited about this one. They're
going to get all sorts of data from both the moon and the rings that we have not had before.
I'd be really happy if we put together, or somebody put together, a program to get the hell there and check out what's in that water. Just get us a sample, man. Just get a 25-mile... here's what we need. We need a rocket that's going to get a 25-mile-long drill bit to a moon in a planet surrounded by terrific rings of ice and rock.
And then it's got to get
doable.
back.
No, it doesn't. It needs to have the...
capabilities to analyze it.
Yeah,
on
it
the
can
spot
have
then.
analytical ability right there. That's probably cheaper than having it be able to get back.
If it's possible.
So we got to do that. Fuck all this sending 25 dumbasses to Mars to never come back. Stop doing that. Let's check out this moon. Let's be distracted by the new shiny thing in the sky.
Let's be distracted for a while.
Please, can we do that? Corey, did you hear that the Australian Space Agency and the NASA are combining efforts to I stole your bit
I know.
from long ago.
I know.
They're combining
I
efforts.
caught it.
They're going to build a laser beam on Earth that they will use to shoot space junk out of the sky.
I had not heard that.
So there's like...
And by space junk, are we talking, do we finally have like Star Wars defense security?
No.
Are we talking asteroids?
We're talking nuts and bolts and broken bits and just small pieces of
the
space
chunk
debris.
that we left in space.
Yeah, that
Gotcha.
stuff. The space garbage, but the smallest bits of it.
Our footprints.
The things that will cause movies like Gravity to be plausible. The tiny little nuts and bolts that get ejected off of each one of a Saturn V rocket's coils as it breaks apart on its way back to orbit. Some of that stuff stays up there. And it moves at about 27,000 miles per hour. So it's kind of a big deal. They're building a laser.
A laser.
A laser beam.
Laser.
On Earth that will pinpoint a 5/8 bolt in the sky 7 miles up. Heat it until it vaporizes. How fucking cool is that, man? Like,
Okay. All right. Okay. Here's my question.
go ahead. I got your answer.
If the Earth
I might.
rotates at approximately 1,000 miles per hour,
Okay.
and a piece of space debris is in a counter rotation, which is possible
Yeah.
in its orbit,
Uh-huh.
how is a laser going to heat up a piece of metal quick enough if we're not in fixed orbit?
It's a fucking laser. That's how.
What?
You set it to kill, dummy.
It's
It's that fucking simple.
it still needs some time to
Yeah.
microwave. It
It
instant
needs-
heats.
that much time.
Well, see, here,
Here's what gets me.
that's much time. Even for light, it takes 8 minutes for light to get from the sun to the Earth.
Yeah, but to get from the Earth to the orbit, you calculate for where it's going to be.
So what, a second maybe?
Not even a second. Nope, not even close to a second.
That's a distance.
What was that word we
And
looked
through
up earlier?
distortion.
A pecan?
Plank time.
Plank time.
Plank
A
time.
plank time moment. This is I know that's an exaggeration. But
That's got to be an exaggeration.
but it is
because
an-
there's atmosphere to distort the light. And
but we can calculate for it.
yeah, I'm not saying the math's not there.
How fucking cool is that? Even the fact that when you calculate to point the laser, you gotta like lead the space debris a little bit for that. Even that super fine piece of engineering pales when you think. Have you ever played with an animal with a laser?
Yes.
Isn't the dot bigger when you're further away from what it's on than when you're
Yes.
close to it? That's because light is partial to the inverse square law, which states that as distance doubles, so does expansion.
Yeah.
Right. How fucking tiny is this laser on Earth that it could shoot a fucking nut in space? It shoot a nut in space. That's funny. He said that.
You sure did.
How fucking crazy is that? This shit is going to be able to fire from Earth a beam narrow enough to not blast this thing and all the space around it, vaporize a steel nut or titanium.
And it has to be instantly or this wouldn't work.
Yeah, it does. It has to be mad quick. How fucking cool. Well, no, I mean, it could chase it. It could trail it. If you can calculate to fire at the right time, you can calculate to fire at the right following trajectories based on the
For
We're
exactly
talking about
the
the
amount.
stuff that rocket scientists
Okay, yeah,
calculate.
we're getting a
so
little
I mean,
deep,
like,
yeah.
it might be hard for you and me to wrap our heads around, but for like,
But only for like, again, if it hit inverse rotation, you can only track it for the amount of
Yeah, for as long as it's
degree
directly-
you had.
For so long as it's directly over top of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has to be pretty instant. It has to be pretty instantaneous.
Yeah.
For it to work.
They're doing it. The
So-
Aussies in the U.S. are doing that shit.
Introduce Earth Defense System. Step 1. We use it for space trash. Well, now we can do it for,
Yeah, now we use it for China's moon
well,
base.
now we can do it for microasteroids
We
and
carved
meteorites.
USA was here on the face of the moon so that you can see it from Earth.
Was that a tick reference?
It kind of was. Yeah, somebody did that on the tick. You're right.
Half of the chair.
What an awesome show.
But yeah, now we've got a weapon against meteorites and small asteroids. Now we have defense against the aliens.
I don't know how a
within
laser...
within 100 years we have laser defense capabilities for the planet.
I don't know how a laser fired from Earth is going to keep Mexicans out. But all right. It sounds a lot like the Star Wars program, which brings us back around.
I did say, this is finally Star Wars?
You did, but then we continued to talk, and I really wanted to take it then, but the conversation from there was good. It sounds a lot like the Star Wars program, which brings us all the way back around to the book I read this week, The Age of Radiance. The
Sorry,
dramatic
what
rise and fall of the atomic era.
The what book?
That's the name of the book that I read.
The what now? You read a book?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell us about it?
I forgot, apparently. This book introduced me to an interesting character in history. This guy's name is Edward Teller. You ever heard of this guy?
No.
Corey, I'm going to do some learning about this guy.
All right.
I promise. This guy was there for almost the entire Cold War and World War I and II arms race. I mean, he was just like the crackpot of fucking...
So he was there for 1914.
He was the Fenton
World
crack
War
shot. Listen,
I and 1992.
I want to tell you how important this guy was. This guy was the Fenton crack shell for the U.S. nuclear department.
I like the DuckTales reference.
I knew you would.
That's very nice.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. It's the wrong character. I was actually going for the scientist that built the Gizmo duck
Yeah,
costume,
not the guy who
not the guy
operated
who
it.
wore it.
The blatherskite.
But I can't remember the scientist's name. So
Gizmo.
that might be that's Gizmo Duck.
Is the scientist from
Whatever.
DuckTales.
Much more importantly is Edward Teller. This guy, he pioneered something called the Share Plow Project, which was something I imagine had to do with agriculture. It had to do with the birth of big agriculture, which is a disturbing thing to learn about. I recommend Food Inc. if you want to watch something about it. He also had such brilliant ideas as nuclear fracking.
Nummy.
To put that more correctly, it was nuclear fracking.
Okay, thank you.
His plan was to drill holes in the earth, drop nuclear bombs down miles below the surface of the earth, and frack the shale material with nukes. It's a great idea. I like this guy's way of thinking. It's very
inside the earth?
Yes. Yeah, under American towns. Very ecologically sound. He also...
This guy is a maniac.
This is the guy that sold Ronald Reagan on the Star Wars program. The Star Wars program, we are still spending money on. To the tune of $3 billion a year. On the Star Wars program.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that last part you just said?
$3 billion a year.
No, we're still spending money on the Star Wars program?
Did you know that?
No. How do we not have a Star Wars program by now?
Because you can't shoot a bullet with a bullet from space. You can't. It's stupid to think you can. You can't. You need a laser.
Well, we have lasers now.
If you had a laser to do that, you could do it, but you can't do it you can't shoot a missile with a missile. It's retarded. I'm sorry. It's
retarded.
Yes.
We're coining our retarded, aren't we?
Yeah. All right. We're going. It's retarded. You can't do it.
Misguided.
It's just not. I was shocked to learn we're still spending vast sums of money on these Star Wars programs.
So was I just now in front of you.
Yeah. Corey, I recommend that you read that book. Again, folks, that book is The Age of Radiance, The Dramatic Rise and Fall of the Atomic Era. You find it on Amazon, and I haven't been paid to tell you to read this book. I promise that's true.
Otherwise, we'd
Nobody
deliver a
paid
better
me.
podcast.
Well, I would have recorded it and edited it for errors or something. No, I read that book. It was a very good book. I recommend it. Did you have anything else for the show tonight? Mana.
No.
Are you sure? You don't have anything else for that? All right, folks. That's been our show for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on AirWreck Radio. Check us out. Please come to our website, airwreckradio.com.
And tell your friends.
You can tell that we are truly unique because of the fact that we have the .com.
Exactly.
This ain't airwreckradio.net or .eu or anything like that. This is airwreckradio.com, bitches. You can follow me,
Reliable and credible,
on Twitter at AWR Stace Ghost. You can follow Corey
at C-Pain Run,
and you can follow the show
at AirWreck Radio.
Please stop by the Facebook. Give us a like. We love your likes. They are what keep us alive. Facebook.com/AirWreckRadio. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you later.
It's late in the afternoon, the sun rising high. There's nothing to do around here, and if there was, well, I wouldn't try. Taking my comforts, taking good care of me, sitting down in my easy chair, taking a sip of my sassafras tea. Tell me something I can't even see. Well, I got the solution, how to deal with this insanity. Just sit down in my easy chair and take a big sip of my sassafras tea. Getting near evening, the sun going down. I guess I should shake a leg, climb in my car and roll downtown. Check out the city lights, all decked out in a tux and a tie. But I'm sitting in my easy chair, taking a sip of my sassafras tea. The solution, I know how to set him free. Set him down in my easy chair and give him a sip of my sassafras tea.
You're gonna love this. Hey everybody, welcome to AirWreck Radio. It is the 7th day of April. This is episode 48. I'm Stacy.
Go fuck yourself.
And Corey is a dillhole and thinks that just because he didn't say his name, this shit isn't getting edited into the beginning of the show, no matter what he does.